computer. Let's see if I got it going. Oh, good. We're recording. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Yes, thank you for joining me on my third episode. And I'm so excited to be getting this done. We're talking about Black women owning their own businesses. Period. Like, okay, period. Pooh. So I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves. We'll start with Genelle.
Okay. Well, my name is Genelle Black, and I am the owner of Chrysalis Counseling and Consulting LLC. I have been operating as an independent contractor in the mental health field for the last, I guess, 10 years. And I decided to take that leap of faith and go out on my own. So, register my LLC and all that recently. And in the meantime, while I build up my business, I'm still contracting with another business, just providing mental health services as a play therapist to children and teens in the
Oh,
Duluth, Georgia.
wow, wow. That's very similar to what I just started doing. We're going to have to talk, Janelle. Okay, Dr. Brock.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Tomisha Price Brock. I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am the owner and CEO of Prodigious Music Concepts, LLC. I'm a music educator with 17 years of experience on the K-12 level and in higher ed. I've taught middle and high school band, elementary general music, and of course, I served as a university band director at Elizabeth City State University, Clark Atlanta University, and I was the associate director of bands at Mississippi Valley State University.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
I'm a band director sometimes when I feel like it. All right, girl. So we gonna talk about business, Black women in business, and I have a few. I have about two or three other women, so we'll continue this conversation with them later. But I'm so glad to have you guys on today. Um, as I am, this conversation became relevant to me. People been telling me to start my own business for years. And my response is always, I'm not a businessy person. Like, I'm not savvy. I don't know stuff. And finally, one of my old neighbors, she called me out of the blue. She said, Jamie, we about to get on this computer and you about to get your EIN number today. You're going to pay your $100 and apply for your LLC. And you're going to start your own business. And I'm going to put you in over here at this facility that I'm the chief operator owner of because we need your expertise in our building. And so she don't show me how to do all this stuff. I don't do all this stuff. So I want to hear for some people that's been doing it for a while and just hear how it's been going for you. I know if as big as my mouth is, I need to work for myself. Working for people does not work out for me very well. Okay. So we're gonna start with whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first. I opened my company back in 2011, originally as Alumnus Education Services, but I revamped the name and partnered with my significant other to merge our companies together. And together, Prodigious Music Concepts provides comprehensive music instruction, educational consulting, professional development services for K-12 educators, music majors and minors, and college and university faculty, staff, and administrators. Our company right now, we started out very small, home-based company. My primary push was on tutoring music education majors and provisionally licensed teachers who were trying to pass the praxis exam. And I still do that. I also help those trying to pass the GATE exam in Georgia, but most of my clients are praxis clients, those who are seeking to pass the test. They've either taken it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times and have not passed, and they're either on the last year of their provisional contract, or they're just trying to pass it so that they can student teach. So I've been doing this for some years, just looking at who are trying to get into the field. But since we've merged the company, we've branched off and we offer 5 services. We offer the Rhythm and Reading Music Literacy Program that focuses on Title I schools and underserved youth, trying to improve literacy, but by using percussion instruments and other sound effects to kind of gauge, and prompt them to read and have a love for learning. There's also the HBCU Drumline Talk podcast that launched last month. They're getting ready to launch their 2nd episode next weekend. And that has been going very well so far. They talk about trend-setting topics dealing with HBCU drumlines, and just the overall culture of HBCU drumlines and current topics or current issues associated with it. I do a Points to Ponder podcast, blog on Facebook, just to give people just, helpful tips that may help them as a music educator or may just help them in life. This past week, I did a blog for American Education Week, focusing on the 5 R's, reflect, reorganize, reconnect, recommit, and it was one more, and reevaluate. And then, of course, professional development and the teacher licensure tutoring. So we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, but we're working now where we are in our stage. We're getting big where we have to really get our website established. So that those are next steps for us. And the client base can be anyone from age 5 to age 95, based on our services. But the whole goal was to really give HBCUs a platform, give HBCU graduates a platform, give music educators a platform where they can get information that's relevant to them, whether it's professional development that's relevant to them. Because as a teacher, and this, Jamie, when you were in those professional development meetings, they talk about STEM, and rarely is something that is related to what it is we do in our field. So those are some of the things that we provide.
Yes.
And we can be reached in a variety of ways, and I'll make sure that I send you my contact information to share with your fan base. But that's basically our company, and we're pushing forward. We're expanding very rapidly here in Las Vegas, but we provide global services to everyone, both domestic and international.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is so needed. Everything you just named, and it's not a lot of people offering that, so that's something really good. I love, of course, I graduated from an HBCU, so are there any other colleges besides HBCUs? I don't know. I've never heard of them. But I am just pro HBCU everything. So I appreciate that. We're going to do some more talking, Dr. Brock. So I'm going to let Genelle introduce her company and what she does. And we're going to have some conversation, y'all. Go ahead, Genelle.
All right. So, what I think you originally asked how I started out. So, I went to Spelman, got my degrees in music and psychology, but I knew I didn't really want to marry the two. I just had 2 passions. Um, so my progression to being an entrepreneur wasn't linear. I didn't have any role models or anything. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I saw myself in private practice, but I didn't quite know how to get there. And so imposter syndrome kind of kicked in and kicked my butt for a couple of years, or more than a couple, until I was just kind of fed up. I wouldn't say I have a super big mouth, but I'm from Brooklyn. I have a strong personality sometimes. And so I need to work for myself. And I realized that coming back to Georgia after grad school and just having some not so fun experiences with some of the mental health agencies. I was working for DFACS and working for some DFACS contractors, going out and providing services to people in their homes. And 1, I didn't feel like it was safe all the time. And 2, I didn't feel like I was able to really control my money and my income. And I wanted more control and more freedom because I was working 60 hours a week, but may not see that in a paycheck. So I ended up getting into a group practice and getting out of community work back in 2018. And it was a great move for me because I was able to really see what I needed to do to market myself. Because a lot of times, like when you get your degree in psychology, they tell you about the theories of psychology, but they don't tell you what it takes to go into business in psychology. They tell you how to care about people's problems, but they don't tell you you need to also care about your bag. So it it was kind of an uphill journey learning how to say, okay, I'm here to help these kids, but I also need my money. And balancing that out with some parents who want to be like, oh, but can't I just pay you $40, or can I just pay you next week, in a month, or whatever, when I get my taxes. And so it's been a progression for me, a learning curve, definitely. But I've been steadily building my caseload and getting my name out there, meeting other therapists, marketing myself on social media platforms and the internet. And my caseload's been very strong. Like even with COVID, having to shut down in person and go to just virtual, a lot of parents were like, "Ooh, is this going to work for kids?" And I've shown them that it can work for kids. And I've gotten new clients that have come on with me during this quarantine or social distancing, whatever we're in right now. I don't even know. But it's been a steady progression that I can kind of feel confident. Like, okay, I'm actually making a profit in just my second full year of practice by myself, not working under anybody else's contracts or anything like that. And so that gives me a lot of hope for moving forward into this next phase of being completely by myself, not sharing office space, not doing anything like that, just my own everything. And so I'm excited about it. Can't wait for this new venture. Um, some things that I didn't mention at first, my specialties, like I have certifications in trauma. I work really well with kids who have been displaced due to foster care placements and adoption and any type of violence in the home, violence in the community that they've been exposed to. So, because I have a niche and because I am so specialized, I see a steady influx of clients, and that has really helped grow my practice. So.
Well, wow. Again, something that's needed. Mental health always will be needed. Always will be. Um,
Yeah,
Very
it is.
noble of you. And that's why I said it was similar to what I'm moving into, which is why I thought, oh man, this would be a good topic because I need to hear from some people, and there's other people that need to hear this, how to get going. They're sitting around trying to figure out how to get their own business started, or they're thinking how I was thinking, oh, I'm not business savvy. It's a number of ways you could get in.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
you can. I wasn't business savvy, but I've had to learn. I've
yes,
had. I put myself in the fast lane. Like, okay, well, what do I need to know because this other way wasn't working for me. You
right,
will get. You will get there.
absolutely. So my business is, I'm new to this. I've been doing it, but I've been getting paid to do it. But education consulting. And when I was thinking of the name, I wanted to add something with music in it too, but I just wasn't creative at the moment. So but it has something to do with music too. But mine kind of came out of, I'm not, I guess I am working for myself in a sense, but I am working under a contract. Um, I'm working under, Lord, a few different contracts, but the main one is with mental health, which is something I suffered with, but I've never worked in that kind of thing. And my bachelor's is in music education. My master's is in education with a focus in administration and principalship. My EDS is in administrator leadership. So nothing in the health field. Um, but from hearing my podcast and seeing my presence online, um, I ran into my neighbor, my old neighbor, and her doctor that works there. They want to bring me in for my expertise for music and education. And they are giving me well, I guess I'm gonna have a caseload because I was just learning all these codes yesterday, and I was sitting there like, what that mean? Ooh, what? Somebody sit me down because I don't know this. But basically, what I'll be doing is, well, I am, and they're paying for me to get the certifications that I'm supposed to get to be a group facilitator, and they want me to do music with them, and they have adults and they have children. So I'm a little nervous, but they keep saying it's just like teaching. It's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. And so that, as well as individual counseling. So I'm in courses getting the whatever it is you got to have to be able to counsel individuals. And so, and that's just because your ability to talk. So I guess where I'm going there is I never really imagined how, based off of marketing yourself, people will bring you in and contract you to do something. And that makes a big difference, is the marketing piece. Dr. Brock, what can you share in terms of marketing for your business?
Be creative. I think we're, with technology and especially with COVID now, we're long past the days where you can just pass out business cards or give out flyers and brochures. Our age, they have smartphones right at their fingertips, tablets. Everything's done with like 40 characters or less now. So I think, using social media to your advantage, also letting people see you. So maybe doing like video commercials and placing them on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, where, just meeting people where they are and with the technology they use. I think that is key to, one, being able to attract the audience of today, to attract the customers that you want, but it's also important to stay relevant with the times. People don't read a lot anymore, not saying that they won't, but in order to hook them, you have to meet them on the platforms that they currently use, even if it's putting something on the PlayStation platform, to attract students, and having a message come across that platform. But then also just being persistent, being creative and persistent, learning to say everything you want to say in an elevator pitch, 30 seconds or less. By the time I get on the elevator, by the time we get to the floor we're going to, I should have been able to tell you a little bit about what I do, who I serve, and what my goal is for my company. So I think having an elevator pitch, keeping it in small bursts of information, will attract all customers, especially those on the go. When you're trying to attract investors, you need to be able to be concise and to the point with your business, but then be true to yourself. Operate to your strengths and market your strengths, market your personality, use, your talkativity, to your advantage, to be able to interact and network with people. Word of mouth is, it will never grow old. You are your own best marketer and selling your own product. I, personally, just in my business, I used to look at getting marketing companies to market for me, but nobody's going to sell your product like you can, because they don't have the vision. because it goes back to biblical things. When God gives you the vision, it's not for everybody to have. So when somebody tries to interpret your vision, it may not come out the way you want it to come out. So you're your best person because you have the vision, you have the goal, you know your product better than anyone else, and then you know what you want to say, you know who you want speaking on your behalf, and you don't want to be misrepresented. So you're your best tool.
Absolutely. You said a mouthful. You said a mouthful right there. And you said one word that jumped out at me: LinkedIn.
Mhm,
LinkedIn is so important.
mhm,
You have got to remain relevant on LinkedIn. Um, I have never spent so much time on LinkedIn as I have during this time. I've been trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life. Um, I have the other contracts I got as a freelance writer. That just came from me posting my articles on LinkedIn.
right.
And then it was just like, hey, we want you to write on this. You seem to know a lot about educational leadership. What you want to see in an administrator, and that's a whole nother conversation. That's right for our company on this. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff. And what LinkedIn provides is that inward networking, networking, right? That networking, it may be people that you don't even know. And what I like about LinkedIn is the hashtags really work on there, because when you hashtag, it really shows up in these other people's feeds that don't know you, they're not connected to you, nothing. So it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Genelle, how do you market?
Well, I actually have a few different ways. Um, the group practice that I contract with, they do pay someone to market for us. Um, it's interesting. That's all I'll say about that. I completely agree that nobody will market for you the way you will market for yourself. So I am in a lot of professional groups on different social media platforms. And anytime that I see someone with a question about what they should do with a child client, what they should do with this type of issue that this kid is having, or with these parents who are not really cooperating, or whatever the case may be, I make sure that I give them thoughtful, full answers that help them kind of say, oh, okay, well, she knows what she's talking about. So when I have somebody in her area or somebody moving to her area, I'm gonna make sure I refer them to her. And other people see me in those platforms and they bring their kids to me. Other therapists will say, oh, I need you to work with my child. I also have moms groups I'm in on social media. And when moms have an issue like, oh, my kid's doing this, my kid's doing that, COVID has my kid, you know, acting real strange and anxious and not wanting to come out of her bedroom and blah, blah, blah. I just, hey, maybe this might be what's going on. If you can handle it this way, but if that doesn't work and you need some professional help, I'm here. I'll
Right.
advice. I don't just try to monetize everything, but the free advice that I offer leads to me getting people who want to come to me and actually pay for what I know. So I have blog posts that I put out and that go out on social media through the group practice that I contract with. And so they push my blog, let everybody know, hey, this is what Genelle has to say about this, and this is what Genelle has to say about that. And that gets me more clients. I have profiles on professional websites like Psychology Today and therapyden.com, where if you're looking for a play therapist, if you're looking for a Black therapist, if you're looking for a therapist that works with ADHD, and it lists all my specialties. You looking for anything in the state of Georgia, I'm going to pop up. I have a website. I have social media accounts for my personal Chrysalis counseling and consulting. I have every kind of way to connect to people, and I'm trying to learn TikTok so I can get the teams themselves. But but I will admit that I'm not very social media savvy. I'm TikTok is going to be a learning curve for me. But I also like organic networking, just making those connections with other professionals, whether it be through a lunch or going to the Chamber of Commerce meetings and meeting people that way and just kind of forming relationships. Oh, I heard you say that you work with veterans kids, and I know that there's a lot of trauma in that community. What's that like for you? And just starting the conversation.
Right.
When other professionals see that there may be some overlap, they say, okay, well, I'm going to keep you in mind. I'm going to keep you at the top of my mind. I've reached out to courts and gave them my flyers because in California, before I moved to Georgia, I was working with the court system doing anger management classes for juvenile justice department. So when I moved here, I did reached out to them, let them know, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. Send me who you have. Anybody you need, I'm here.
Absolutely.
I promote groups that I do. I have digital flyers, hand flyers, which are a little outdated, but sometimes when I go and visit other mental health facilities, just to let them know what I do, sometimes they come out to us, but sometimes I go to them and I say, well, this is who I am, this is what I have that I'm offering. These are the dates of the groups that I'm running. So I try to have a few different ways that I'm marketing things. So I'm always at the top of someone's mind because one thing I've learned through marketing trainings that I've done is that it takes 7 times to make a connection with someone for them to really remember your name and say, oh, yeah, that Genelle does that. They have to see your name 7 times. So I make sure they see my name some kind of way, whether it's through a Google
There-
ad, a Facebook post, my flyers, my cards, my
Everything.
I whatever the case may be. I make sure they see my name.
Right. Absolutely. And I mean, I think uh, I'm a social media marketer to I mean from the rooter to the tutor, honey. Okay. So I think that's been very good to me. Because with what we do, Dr. Brock, with music education, it's a lot of I gotta see you. I gotta see what you're doing. It's gotta be on display. So some people might get irritated with my fluke videos, but I don't care because it's got me a lot of gigs, a lot of jobs, a lot of everything. I've been consulting, but I ain't had no business. But now I just thought to get a business. So, like with music education, we were having a really good conversation before we started recording about why and what we have to do to get Black children into the classical world, move them over, get them on stage, things of that nature. And your business deals with that. Can you speak to that?
Yes, definitely. I know when we talked, we just mentioned that right now we don't have a seat at the table, or it's very limited. We're seated in the corner, and we can maybe overlook what's happening at the main table. I think first it's going to take for us to think outside of the box, and we have to really have a paradigm shift with what our kids are capable of. We have to trust the product that we're putting out. We have to be confident in the product that we're training at our HBCUs, especially. But in at any institution with musicians of color, we need to be confident that they are just as qualified and just as prepared as everyone else. In orchestras and symphonies around the world, even in military bands, we're few and far between. And those of us who are represented are not graduates of HBCUs 9 times out of 10. And not that that's an issue, but we need to have a seat at a table. We need to have a voice, and we need to let our HBCU grads and students know that this is a possibility for you. But those of us who have made it, we need to be willing to give back, regardless of whether we graduated from an HBCU or not. We do not need to discriminate. We need to have equal opportunity for everyone and not turn our nose up at someone just because they graduated from an HBCU. I went to an HBCU because I wanted to learn more about me. I wanted to learn more about my culture, and I wanted to have the opportunity to learn in my own way. And I'm very thankful for the quality education I received at Virginia State University and Norfolk State University. But we're not having these conversations as often as we need to, or we're only having it with a select few, with our favorites, and we need to open the opportunity to everyone and let them decide the path they want to take for themselves. Military bands, we just don't have the conversation that you can go into a military band and make a great living, be it with the president's own, the Pershing's own, you name it. I just think that we need to have the conversation that is more to life after graduation than just simply going to grad school or going to teach band, or okay, we marched in this band for so many years and then that's it. There are opportunities for out here for you to keep performing and keep doing the things you love in a variety of platforms. Symphony orchestras, for example, it's just a dying breed now at our HBCUs. We were once vibrant with at least 20 HBCUs or more having thriving orchestras, and now you can probably count on your hand how many actually have them. And that's something we really need to look at, because we're stifling our students' growth and we're not providing them with the holistic education they deserve.
Absolutely. I'm shouting amen in my head. I really want to go run around the walls of Jericho 7 times in my house. But you said that. I mean, you said that so fast too.
You mentioned the number 7. I noticed Genelle mentioned the number 7 too. I live by that. 7 in the Bible is like the number of completion. And anything I do, if I do topics for the semester on professional development, I offer 7 topics for the semester. If I'm doing points, a lot of the times I'll make 7 points in my presentation. And I just felt, that it definitely denotes, completeness or perfection, when you have that number 7. I just noticed that both of you have mentioned that number in this podcast. And I feel that that's so important, especially for people of color, to lean on that, as we do things.
We need to play them numbers too.
We might need to. 777.
All right. And that is my number. That is my SAI number. I am only about 4'11". Sometimes I'm 5 feet. Sometimes I'm 5 feet 1. It just depends on what the weather is and how my knees acting up. But I was number 7 because we went by last name. That's my chap. That's what they did at Bethune-Cookman. I just worked there. So anywho, you said that though, because like I told you, I said I got 100,000 million, 1,000, 100 million, 100 million passions. I can't decide which one I want to focus on, but that's one of them. That is one of them. And me being someone that has always been addicted to playing my instrument. And it was like, well, do I do performance? I can't come home and say I'm doing that, because what I'm gonna do with that? So you do music education just to do something, because you're gonna get a job. But I wanted to, believe it or not, prior to going to Cookman, I wanted to go to the military band. I wanted to go to the Navy band, and I was too fat then. I was 1 pound too fat. No, first I was 2 pounds too fat. Then I was 1 pound too fat. Then I just said, I'm just going to take the scholarship and go to Cookman because I'm tired of them. But
I was supposed to go into the Marine band. So yeah,
really?
I auditioned and everything.
I did all that. Yeah. And I was like, I just could not get past their little weight requirement. So I just said, I'm going to take their money, go down here with Mr. Wells and get yelled at and cussed out. But it was fun. It was fun. But and that's just a topic that's close to my heart though. And I hate the fact that every time we see, which I love my fellow flutists, I love y'all. I really do. I appreciate y'all. Y'all good people, everything. However, I am so sick of seeing every time it's the ones that's on the big stage at NFA, at everything. They always coming from a white school. That is never anybody from an HBCU. So I participate in groups like Etude of the Week. I feel like it's my duty, even if I can't play it as well as some of the other people, even if it's my duty to participate and be seen in that group, because it needs to be someone from an HBCU represented, being able to play that literature just like them. So that is exhausting on me. I wish more people would participate because we have some fine musicians out there. They just stopped playing their instrument though. I don't, they just stop, you know. And then I always say this, you have the ones that get podium happy. You don't play instrument anymore. You know what I mean? You're not relevant. You're not even in the association associated with your instrument, you know, and that's very important because you don't see black people. You don't see black people in those organizations. So it's just we more of us need to be involved with that. So very well said. Genelle. Oh, you
Can
got
I
your
just,
hand up. Yeah.
yeah, I, when you were talking about the etude of the week, and I see your post about that, and I hear you playing, and I feel convicted in my spirit when you talk about it because I know I gave up the flute in high school because I was just like, I don't really. I'll just go and stick with my other things, but I see you playing, and I'm always like, dang, I should practice. So don't be discouraged just because you don't see people putting themselves out there because you are inspiring. I know you inspire me. I'm always like, dang, I need to step my game up. How could she play
Thank
like that after
you.
all these years and I'm so rusty?
Thank you.
So,
And I don't even do it for that reason. Like I said, the reason is just that it's never anybody from HBCUs. Never. Never. And if it's three black people in there, they all went somewhere white. So I mean, I ain't saying y'all don't count. God bless y'all and everything, but you know. So it's that thing. It's just I feel like I have to put it on my back, and I have to be the one to pick up the slack of that. Like I got to get number 11 done at some point because y'all ain't gonna catch me slipping not doing number 11. You know, and that's just how that is.
maybe one of these days I'll get on your level.
Get
Hopefully.
on there, girl.
But you were about to ask me something.
Yes, yes, Genelle. Genelle,
Mhm.
I was finna ask you. Oh Lord, I'm being country. Y'all heard that Fanta. I was finna ask you. Oh, if you are one of my listeners, you used to this by now, baby. Okay, I'm from the South all day, every day. So, Genelle, how do you feel like have you ever you haven't always had your own business, right? So how does it feel to have your own business? Is that empowering to you?
It's it's actually empowering, but also scary sometimes. Um, Full disclosure, I am a single mom, so I only eat what I can kill, at this point, and so that kind of gives it a sense of urgency. But when you're walking in your purpose, things fall into place for you. Um, when I fell into this, I was actually in a really bad state financially, and that being working for myself has helped turn that around completely. Um, the mental health field, people kind of laugh and say, "Well, why would you go into mental health? You knew you weren't going to make any money." But now that I'm on the other side of things where I'm doing things for myself, I'm seeing that it is possible to make six figures in a year. It is possible to really go from struggling with some of these little agencies out here in Georgia that don't want to pay on time, don't want to pay in full, don't want to do what they're supposed to do, and get to a place of real self sufficiency. And so it it's definitely empowering. It's an awesome experience. It's it's kind of a heavy weight in some ways because I do feel like I have a lot of responsibility and I have to keep going because it's just me. But um, but I love it at the same time because it is just me. I'm not having to worry about keeping somebody happy so they don't play with my money or anything like that. I love being able to control my life and my success and my future and the future I'm creating for my daughter. So yeah, I do feel like empowering is a great word for it, especially knowing that I have this teenage daughter who's watching me build this from the ground up and watching me in my little missteps, but also in my triumphs. Because I've had a lot more triumphs than I've had setbacks since I've been on my own in this. So, and she gets to watch that, and she says that she's a part of the company, and she's going to go to Spelman, get her degrees, and she's going to take over. So, having something that I could potentially give to her, having a way to employ her, like my goal is to get her to run my social media. I'm like, their teams, they want to do it anyway. So might as well let her do that rather than me contracting out. That'll be her little allowance money. But, just being able to even plan to employ my own child. She's only 13 now, but I'm already looking to the future. She's already looking to the future. And I feel like I'm setting a real good example, and that feels great. That feels
girl power.
like I'm building legacy.
Period. So, girl power. I'm a feminist now. I became a feminist probably about 5 minutes ago. I know it was like a couple of days ago.
Okay, that's all right. At least you joined. Yeah. It's all right.
I was already, I didn't know what it was called. Okay, so Dr. Brock, do you feel empowered?
Definitely, and especially listening to Genelle, we have a lot in common. I too am a single parent, even though I have a significant other now, but I'm a single parent, of course, by way of being a widow. But being able to have a business and something that, oh wow, this is something that can grow and potentially be left or taken over by my daughter later, and having her watch the business grow and showing interest in it as well. She has aspirations of being a music educator one day. And then taking it to graphic design as well. So I'm like, yeah, that's something I can look forward to as far as my marketing. Of course, right now I still keep it in the family. My brother does all my marketing, like with website design and flyers and things like that, as well as one of my sorority sisters. But I do agree with Genelle. She said, it is empowering yet scary at the same time. Because I'm a single parent, I still have my regular 9 to 5, but I've taken a step back from the university level, and I've taken a job at an international baccalaureate high school as a band director because I wanted to have more free time, because I'm trying to walk away from being employed by someone else. I love serving HBCUs, but I feel that I'll be a better service to all HBCUs if I'm not tied down to one. So I feel by being employed by myself, I can contract out and work with any HBCU anytime I get ready. I can travel. I don't have to worry about not being able to do this meeting because I have to teach this class or help with this department. And while that was an aspiration of mine, was to become a department chair one day, I'm looking at it through a different lens now. How can I best serve everyone, and how can I best help everyone to get their voices heard without it just being the same few institutions all the time that get publicized or get supported? I want to support all HBCUs. I in research found out there are about 89 HBCUs that have music degree programs, but we only hear about the larger ones. We don't hear about the Arkansas Baptist colleges and things like that have flourishing programs, and that's what I want to serve. So yes, it is scary. I am learning as I go. But I definitely is nothing more rewarding than saying that I work for myself. And when I don't feel like doing it, I don't. And when I do feel like doing it, I do, but it's all in my passion. I don't have to worry about pleasing anyone. Like Genelle said, that's so important, having to worry about what someone thinks. And then when someone plays with your money, I'm just not the type it doesn't sit well with me, when you're doing all of this work and then you're not getting paid what you're worth. That's for a different discussion, about being an HBCU band director or a band director in general, and the gender differences when it comes to salary. But, I just feel where I am now, I can write my own check and there's no cap on my salary. So, my salary reflects my effort and reflects my marketing. And I just love being in control of my own destiny, with God's help, of course. But I just love being in control and being my own boss.
Whoa, y'all making me feel kind of like, okay. Cause it's a little scary for me. came out, and I've been working for the man for the last 15 years, and so just going into this new territory of no benefits. But thank God I have a husband that continues and we still got the benefits. So we still going with that, but that's just scary to me because I just like having my own everything, and just being cling to the man and just the W2 life is stepping out to me. Is like I'm stepping out on a ledge. I know I'm gonna be okay, but it's just still scary. Like y'all said, it is. It's scary. What if I don't do a good job? What if they don't like me? What if I'm not what they think I am? It's always scary. I think one of y'all mentioned imposter syndrome or something like that. Yes, yes. What if I'm not good? What if I and then I'm career switching? So what if I don't catch on to what they talking about and all these initials and abbreviations and all this stuff going on that they talking about? It's a lot of being scared involved in it. But to be valued as a professional, okay, that doesn't happen in education. You go get all that education, and I'm just speaking K-12. I can't speak on collegiate level because I never been there. But at K-12, you're not treated like a professional. You go get all those degrees and you go do everything. You have all the top-notch subject area. One thing nobody could ever say about me is that I'm not knowledgeable and 100% submerged in my subject area. But yet you still have people walk around treating you like you the dirt on the ground because you teach music or because you the band director or you connections, so it's always that type of thing. I didn't know how much more of that I could take after a while. So I feel valued, more valued as a professional working on my own and working for myself and knowing that these people came to me and said, we want you because of your expertise. That's the good thing about having your own business, I feel like.
Indeed. You said it yourself too, and you say, I'm scared because, what if I can't? What if I can't? And it made me think about, I watched it yesterday, Uncle Drew, but it's like for every what if I can't, but what if you can?
Mm-hmm.
What if I want, but what if you will do this? And I think that's how I look at it every day. I was like, well, I'm going to take this leap of faith and step out and try to push and put more of my time into it. And like, what if I am successful? Who's stopping me? So, just having that attitude, I think you're going to be just fine. You're going to make it. Just hold firm to your faith, hold firm to your support system. And I'm going to send you some information too. I'm working with a wonderful colleague of mine who has shown me just how to even have my own benefits and affordable benefits, coming out of education and, trying to walk away from, having the 9 to 5 and having the education support system that pays half your benefits, but just showing you that you still can afford your own benefits as if you were working for someone else without it killing your pocket or killing your income, and still have the same quality benefits that you had when you were securely supported by the school system. So I'll share that information with you. I'll email it to you. She's a wonderful representative, and she's going to be completely honest with you. It's not a gimmick or, not just trying to get more sales and more clients. She really works hard, and everything that she said so far has been 100% true.
Oh, that's good. Okay, because yeah, my neighbor was saying she got somebody too, that a financial advisor or something like that, and they can set up benefits or what have you. But it's just always good to know. People need to know that these things exist. And this is very, very important to me, like everything else. But this is important to me because I have a lot of friends, and a lot of them right now are getting to the point that they're suicidal being in the classroom. I mean, it's no other way to say it. They are scared of what's currently going on, and they won't leave because they're scared to leave. They don't know how to jump out. They don't feel like their credentials will transfer over to something else. And I will say a lot of times with like this thing I got hired for with mental health, normally they really don't call teachers. And I mean, I can say I'm blessed to had known someone, but normally they don't. You'll apply for something like this and they won't call teachers. And I wish they would, because there are so many things. We do everything. We do everything. Okay. I have been trained to stop a kid from having a seizure. I've been trained to put the medicine in their behind to stop them. I mean, we have been trained to literally be doctors, lawyers, counselors, therapists, medical doctor. I mean, you name it, we do everything. So I wish more companies and different places would open up and accept teachers. That's who you want. You name it, we can do it. You know. So yeah, Genelle, you want to say something? Oh,
I will say a lot of skills are transferable, but a lot of employers don't really look at different things. They don't even look at your resume if it's not what they are used to.
mhm.
Um, so that's unfortunate. No matter what field you're in, I don't have the experience of being a teacher, but just I know taking my psychology degree to DFACS, I was undervalued there because they look for social workers, and my degree is in counseling psychology. And even though I had a master's in counseling psychology, they still paid me less than they paid some people with only a bachelor's in social work. And the people with a bachelor's in social work could get promoted over me, but I was stuck at my level. So,
But
there's a
what's
lot
crazy is
involved.
we accept everybody in education. Anybody can come. You want to teach? You want to? You know how many teachers I don't mentor? They don't came from just.
Yeah.
I was
And
working
that's
at.
unfortunate that you guys aren't valued the way you should be because it is a specialized degree. It does take a lot of specialized education. And I think people in our society, like, we just have everything backwards. We devalue the things that we should be placing more value on. Um, I know, you know, I've talked to people who talk about, well, why do basketball players get so much money? Why do CEOs get so much money? And that they wouldn't be able to do what they do without a teacher. Somebody had to teach them something at some point.
And
So our society just has everything backwards. And it's unfortunate, but I don't know how to rebalance the scales.
You want to say something about that, Doc?
yeah, I agree. I always tell people teaching is the most important profession because you wouldn't have any other profession without someone teaching you the skills you needed for that. Whether you're a firefighter, a doctor, an NBA player, somebody had to teach you how to dribble, shoot, and pass. But beyond that, you mentioned something about being able to transfer your skills over, and and Genelle mentioned how a lot of employers don't look past the first page of the resume, especially if it's not buzzwords they're looking for. And that's one of the things that I offer. One of the workshops that I do on resume writing is how to, especially with COVID happening now, how to transfer or how to reinvent your resume where it can transfer across professions. So, just being able to have where you have those key buzzwords up there, and we're long past the days of having a basic chronological or basic functional resume. You have to have an interactive resume now, one that's going to jump out, and you have a buzzword almost like an index search that kind of shows all of your capabilities, but then also showing you what to pick and choose to be very descriptive in your experiences instead of just listing bullet points with skills, being very specific about what it is you do so that you can attract those. Much like the LinkedIn profile, it asks you to incorporate your skills and abilities. So we just have to help people transition that into their new 21st century resume or post COVID resume. So that's one of the services that I offer as well.
But that's awesome. That's something that I think people need to hear about. And because I was thinking about it during my search, like, you almost need a different resume for everything you apply for. You almost need a different one. And I know I just paid, how much I paid Mr. Prather for that thing. Mr. Prather, you high. I paid Mr. Prather about $80, $90 for that thing. But it's a good resume, but it is all geared towards me getting a band director job or education job. So I felt like, well, if I had one that was like geared towards everything, I could do more
Right.
client.
Indeed, but one conversation nobody has, and I know it's gonna step on some toes, is that sometimes, unless your district has a music supervisor, some of these school districts do not know how to interview music teachers. And that's one thing I know. I worked with the school district a couple of months ago just to help them. These are the types of questions you should be asking. These are the types of responses you should get. And if you get this is how you can, determine which candidate is the best candidate for you. So I actually offer training for administrators on how to interview music teachers, because look at the interviews you've been in. They ask you the same questions they're going to ask the math teacher, the history teacher, the librarian, the custodian, the cafeteria worker, and they're not being specific unless you have a music supervisor in your district. And even then, a lot of the times they're asking you stock questions. They're not asking true questions, and then wonder why it's a high turnover rate, or why you don't stay long, or why they don't connect well with you, because you didn't ask the right questions to begin with, and you threw these teachers to the wolves, or you asked limited questions and you didn't get the person that you thought you were looking for. So I offer that type of training as well, because that's a conversation that nobody wants to admit, that we don't know how to interview people. And we always talk about, well, you need to do mock interviews and help you prepare for the interview. We're preparing the interviewee, but we don't prepare the interviewer. And that's one of the things that I provide as well, because we need to stop it. We just need to just stop it and get over that and do better.
And I will say this, at the last middle school I was at, that I just loved so much, till they just switched the administration up on me, then it became hell on earth. But they would pull me, because I was department chair, so they would pull me into those interviews with because we were K-8, but we had two different sides. So when we came time to hire a new elementary music teacher for the other side, Phillips, I need you to come sit in here because we don't know what we're talking about. That's when they can say that, that's good. Sometimes you have some, but then you have some that'll just hire somebody just because they're a man.
Just
Especially
because they're a man, or because they're doing a favor because they went to the same alma mater, or we're doing favors for people. And just because you went to the alma mater does not mean you were the best candidate in the pool. So I think a lot of the times when we try to give people a handout sometime and try to keep it all in the family, sometimes you need to get your step cousins and stuff in there and get some foster people in there, instead of just keeping it all in the family, because it doesn't always work out. But yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Yes, they do. They, especially with these band director positions, they just be hiring, they'll hire somebody just because they're a man. And we have to stop doing that as well. I know I have been passed over for jobs, and I know I've had the experience. I know I've had the superiors. I've taken groups on stage and done everything that's supposed to be done, but they'll hire somebody, some man that's young and just got out just because he a man. Because we need classroom management. I've been teaching for 15 years. I don't know how to do classroom management. I'm the craziest joker in the school. I might be the smallest one, but everybody know Phillips the craziest joker on the electives hallway.
I believe it.
I didn't know that. Phillips is a nut. So what?
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. All of this interviewing, but see, then you have some districts, Dr. Brock, that have music fine arts supervisors that didn't teach fine arts.
That is true too. But even past that, again, is paradigm shift. Even if you don't know, if you've been in that position for a certain number of years, not knowing is no longer an excuse. At some point, we preach this lifelong learning, but we don't live by it ourselves. At some point, if you didn't know 5 years ago and you still don't know now, that's a problem.
Right.
That's a problem. So we have to be willing to
Just to
transition
learn.
times too. You gotta be willing to learn, so that's no longer, excuses are tools of the incompetent, but I'm gonna leave that right there.
Come on. That's it right there. Those who something in them, 100, that was 1,000 years ago. But yes, that is so true. You have to learn, even with this new endeavor I'm picking up. I sat there, I said, let me get on what's the thing called? Course A, Ed X or whatever, because I'm like, I ain't did nothing in music therapy, not never. I'm going to register myself for every course that screams music therapy. And I want to learn, and I want to take these courses and learn. I'm not going to go and get no other degree in it. I ain't going interning for nobody, but I will go and take some courses to familiarize myself and try to speak to it. I want to be able to speak. I never want to be in a situation where I can't speak to something. That doesn't sit right with me, period, as a person.
Exactly. That's knowing your product in general. Just, you're interviewing some, research the school, research the entity that you're trying to be a part of, so that you can answer intelligently and you can find immediately who you're going to have connections with. That's true across the board, no matter what you're doing. You have to research what it is you want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's absolutely true. Genelle, you want to add something to that? To the interviewing piece? Genelle, like, I own my own business, man. I don't do interviews, okay? But yes, for us lonely people out there, it is a thing. It is a thing. And I have a lot of followers that they want to know about things like this. They're interested in knowing about interviewing properly. You would be surprised. People don't know about that. They don't know how to come in and be not nervous. I've sat on panels and seen people come in there and I'm like, what? Huh? You got to have some personality. You can't come in there talking about you played cello at such and such and you ain't got no inflection in your voice. You ain't got nothing. Talking about you teaching elementary music. You got to have a personality, baby, to teach elementary music, because them babies will swallow you up. They'll swallow you up. You got to be able to jump around. You got to be able to have an attitude too. And you just have to have a perfect balance of all of that. And so you have to show that in your interview. But that's a whole nother show. I thank y'all so much for being on here with me.
Thank you for having us. This was great. I look forward to your future podcasts as well.
Yes. I'm trying to do a little something, y'all. Trying to.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me to come and speak.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't
And,
do enough of this.
of course. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, they can email me at tlbrock@prodigiousmusicconcepts.org, or they can find me on Facebook, Tomisha Price Brock. They can find me on Instagram at charismatic.sgro.
Girl, you got to know how to spell to get your stuff, okay? Because I was like, I thought I could spell. I couldn't spell I'm and Genelle, where you at?
Well, my website is still under construction for Chrysalis, but petrichorcounseling.com. I'm there. I'm on Psychology Today. Just look for Genelle Black like the color. And by email, you can email me at chrysaliscounseling1, the number 1, at gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure, ladies. And I hope we gave the people something that they can use. I hope so. Okay.
Indeed.
We can lead them to the water. We can't make them drink.
That's
all
right.
Bye, y'all.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.